Hi, I am going to show you a great way to earn extra credit. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a PowerPoint showing how to solve a homework problem. This will be great because this will help you learn the material inside and out, and it will provide future students with a little video on how to solve the problem themselves. So if they're struggling with it, they'll be able to see how to solve the problem. So it's a win-win for everyone. Let's take a look at what will be expected of you and how to do it. So as you can see, I'm showing you the presentation I made in PowerPoint in the outline mode, in the design mode, right? Because I'm going to have to show you a few tricks that you're going to need to use with PowerPoint and some of the specific features of PowerPoint that you're going to be able to need to use. But what you're going to have to focus on is your presentation is going to have some parts to it. It's going to need to have a title. You're going to need to state the problem. You're going to need to talk about the concept being addressed. You're going to have to show the step-by-step solution to the problem, and you're going to have to provide narration to each and every slide. Let's take a look at each one of these parts. And the format is going to be in this format. You're going to have the title first, the problem, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Okay, so the title, it'll be one slide. You need to have the unit number and name, the lesson name, the page number, and problem number. Let's take a look at an example of that. Here it is here, straight ahead, nothing fancy about this. Unit 2, linear equations and systems. The lesson is forms of linear equations. We're on page 60, problem number 6. Okay, straight ahead. Now, we need to state the problem. It'll be one slide. The problem needs to be a problem from the book. You need to state the directions and actually show the problem. Okay, no magic on this one. Let's take a look at. Oh, I'm getting out of control here. So the directions are the problem is from the book, right? The directions are write the equation in the indicated form, and the indicated form is slope intercept. So the directions in the problem, page 60, number 6. The next thing that you need to do is you need to take a look at and provide information about the concept being addressed. Okay, this will really help unpack the information for students that might be struggling with this particular concept. Okay, so one of the ways you're going to do that is provide graphics and some explanations. It'll be anywhere from 1 to 2 slides. Let's see how I do this. So the concept being addressed here is slope-intercept form. So what I did is I wrote the equation, y equals mx plus b. This is the graphic, and you can see by the highlighted area around the line around it that this is a graphic. It is not a standard text. Standard text formatting has a dotted line around it or a solid line around it. Okay, and then there's a written explanation. But you're also going to have to give a verbal explanation, not only for this slide, but for every single slide. And one way you can see that right here. You see the little speaker down there? That means there's an audio component to this slide. And here, well, we can listen to it. Okay, let's. That's the audio component. That's portion of the audio component associated with this slide, and you'll see all the other slides have that too. And you'll be able to listen to my finished product or view my finished product for this particular problem. So then the next part that you have to do is you have to provide the solution to the problem, and it should be 1 to 4 slides. You need to show every step of the problem. Remember, I talked about unpacking. Unpacking means breaking it down into its itty bitty parts so that it makes a concept really easy to understand. Okay, and this is no different than what you have to do in a unit test part 2, right? Or no different than what you have to do when you're solving the problems on your own, right? You have to go through all the steps. Now, to make it easy for someone in the future to be able to understand what you're doing, stick to no more than 2 steps per slide. That'll make it really easy. If you have too much stuff on a slide, it gets gunked up and hard to follow. So here's how I did it. For this particular problem, since you have to solve for y basically, to get in slope-intercept form is solving for y, the first step is subtracting negative 4x from both sides. I show that step on one slide. And see, here's the audio commentary or the narration for this particular slide. So the next slide has 2 steps on it, actually. um, it's detaching or pulling the -5 away from the y, right? So dividing every term by -5y, and then the result. And actually, what happens is this ends up being the answer to the problem, but it's like, okay, I want to drive it home a little bit further. I make sure that whoever is watching this really gets the point about slope intercept. So I do one more slide and I show the equation and slope intercept, and then I pull out the specific information, right? The slope equals is another way for this m, and it's 4/5, and the y-intercept is the point 0, comma -12/5. X equals 0, y equals -12/5, and that's all here on the audio. So you're going to need to do that. So let's take a look at the narration part, and how do you pull off that narration part? Again, you need to provide a complete verbal explanation for every slide. When you do your narration, I'd like a specific quality. I want to make sure that people can understand what you're saying. So what we'll do is have I have a parameter here that I'd like you to set the narration to. Let's take a look at how you do the narration now. Go up to slideshow, click on slideshow, and then voila, record narration. This will record a whatever you have to say for each slide. And let's take a look at how this works. The quality part is right here. Change the quality. You'll see this dialog box has 3 drop-down menus, and I want you to go to attributes. I want you to use this drop-down menu here. It's preset at something a really small value, and the quality is really bad. So I want you to use that drop-down menu and scroll down to where you find 32 kilohertz, 16-bit mono, at a rate of 62 kilobytes per second. Okay, you'll do that. You'll say okay. Then you'll say okay to this dialog box, and it'll prompt you. You can start recording narration on any slide. Do you want to start recording at that? And you'll say first slide. And then what'll happen is the first slide will pop up. You'll say what you have to say. When you're done saying what you need to say for that slide, press the right arrow key, that'll advance to the next slide. You you talk about that slide, press the right arrow key again, talk about the next slide, and so on and so forth until you get to the end. I think the part that I forget is when you get to the end, I think you press escape. You're going to have to figure out how to get out. Well, there's a problem you're going to have to figure out. Now, the thing is what I suggest you do is when you're making your slides, think about what you're going to say. You might want to take notes. You might want to have your notes ready when you're doing your narration. Okay, one more thing we need to take a look at is the equation editor. When you come up here, you can see that these are highlighted in blue, and these pop up as an equation that I hand wrote in what's called the equation editor. And I'll show you how to do this. What you do is you go up to Insert, go over to Object, and then select Microsoft Equation 3.0 or whatever. And you may or may not have this installed on your computer. If it's grayed out and you click on it, it's going to prompt you to install it, and you'll have to go get your installation disks to do that. So if you have your installation disks, great. If you don't, then you're going to have to find another way of using to create equations. Because remember, look at how that nice spiffy fraction is made. You're going to have to deal with square roots. You're going to have to deal with powers, right? So you're going to need an equation editor. If you don't have access to Microsoft's equation editor, another way you can do it is by going online. You could just Google equation editor. You can go to this one here, sciweavers.org, free online equation editor. I have it up here. It's pretty straightforward. Basically you're going to use the math ones. You'll probably end up using relations for less than, equal to, and so on and so forth. So let's take a look at one more thing. Graphs. Okay. You probably have to do graphs. You may or may not have to do graphs. If you choose to do graphs, you're going to have to figure that out on your own. Paint is a good way of doing it, but that one you're kind of on your own. And one more thing is an optional feature is to provide animation. If you want to get really fancy and provide animation, go for it. That would be great. So watch the example that I made, and I'm looking forward to seeing your presentations. Thank you.